Hey, this is Matt from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga, our heated adventures overanalyzing manga we find interesting, otherwise known as the Over Manga Cast. And this week we are remembering the late, great Akira Toriyama as we read Sandland, the entire one-shot. So if it's anything like his other series, I'm probably not going to like it. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always, here at the top of the show, we talk about our familiarity with what we read this week. I think I had vaguely heard of Sandland as being alluded to around the rest of the corpus of Toriyama's work, but I mean, we all know the thing that he's known for, Dr. Slump, right, Jake? No, I hadn't read Sandland before. So, Jacob, how about you?
Not talking about Dr. Slump, okay? As for Sandland, I'm pretty sure, like Sam, I'd heard about it, but I didn't really address it. Actually, mentioning Dr. Slump, I was really hoping that I would like Sandland because I want to like something that Akira Toriyama... I want to like more than one thing Akira Toriyama did, and I haven't experienced anything involving Dragon Quest. So, I had a lot of hopes riding on this.
We'll leave it at that. Matt, how about you?
So I do have to admit, I am not as well versed with the works of Toyotaro's co-writer.
Wow.
So I think I do remember Sandland when it was published in Shonen Jump for a little bit. I didn't read it then, but it was on the cover, I think. So I was aware it existed, and then I was aware the anime came out. And then I'm aware there's a video game, but otherwise no experience.
And you, Jay?
Never heard of this before. I really only know the two things that he is known for.
And so we begin our adventures in the land of sand with a bunch of little weirdos playing some video games. Classic.
Really, could be any of us on any given weekend.
It could be any of us on this weekend.
But as they are sitting around in the shade of some rocks playing on a Game Boy, they spot a truck driving by and leap into battle, charging to intercept it. They disable the machine, beat up
One of the
guy.
dudes is a centaur, which it took me way too long to realize that was what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
True. I was very confused and I was slightly disappointed that he did not play a more prominent role.
Him and the little mink guy.
There's a whole thing where they're shooting at Beelzebub, we find out is his name, with holy water, because they've got like water guns.
And we don't explore that.
Nope. And then we also find out that Japanese demons are immune to holy water. And I'm like, okay, so Japan exists in this setting. Interesting.
Yes.
Well, Hawaii exists in the Dragon Ball universe, so...
Fair. Prequel to Dragon Ball confirmed. Got you, Jacob.
I mean, it honestly could be.
I just really like the Super Soaker with the little cross.
With a little cross on it, yeah.
How you know.
So as the monsters are heading back, the demons, they are called. The demons are heading back with their stolen supplies of water. They pass by a village. Beelzebub drops some off for a random peasant kid, and they return to the demon city.
We get a pretty standard scene establishing the core of Beelzebub's character is that he's not exactly a hero, but he's good at heart. A sort of innocence to him, despite claims to the contrary, which is pretty standard characterization for a lot of Toriyama's protagonists, I've noticed.
Mischief hero, one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
He will do the right thing, but he will cause so many problems, and you better not say he's doing the right thing, otherwise he will cause more problems.
Otherwise he will cause more problems to prove you wrong, even if it ends up proving you right.
So you didn't kill any of those guys in that raid you did, right? No, why would I do that? That's not fun.
That's rude.
Rude. This actually plays into like a separate conversation I wanted to have later on about just the difference between obviously Eastern, Western, like demonology, because Eastern demonology, especially in this work, are not what I guess the West would consider to be like demons and demonic. They're more of just like
they're more mischiefy than they are like agents of evil.
Spirits with weird motivations.
yokai, if you will.
Yeah.
There's some inspiration from yokai. I never would have guessed with the kappas that are here. And one of them explicitly being a Japanese demon.
Yeah, the little mink with the Kasurigama.
I love that guy. I wish he was in it more.
He's really cool.
That's also something that, I mean, not for nothing, there's probably a reason why the series that get popular are a little bit, multicultural, blend a little bit of various different cultures. The demons, at the very least, pretend to be the sort of Western idea of a demon, even if they don't practice what they preach literally at all throughout the entire story.
It's very Dragon Quest, to be honest. Like, they are the dark forces that exist because you need enemies to fight. But, when you actually talk to them one-on-one, they're not that bad, but like they're playing the role given them to them in life. We also get established that is this when we get the lore dump?
We get the very heavy-handed exposition of why they live in this apocalyptic hellscape.
We're just going to explain the entire backstory so we don't have to bother with for the rest of the story.
The world has been in an apocalyptic age for generations at this point. However, 50 years ago, all water on the planet dried up, is what is said by the narrator of this story.
No, it's Thief explaining it.
Oh, right.
Because he's got a little, there's a little tail. It's in narration boxes, but the first one has a little tail to him because he's telling the story. It's a very, as kind of blunt exposition, but considering the kind of story this is, it's fine to just get this out of the way so we can get to the shenanigans.
Yeah.
One day the river suddenly dried up. Who knows? Anyway, here's the super greedy king. I wonder if he has something to do with it. Nah, that's silly.
Well, they don't actually even allude to that. It's just literally that there is a natural disaster because the planet is kind of going to hell. But not actually to hell, because also hell appears to be out of water, so the demons had to move to the surface.
That's a bit of comedy there. Literally a man-made, and there's a lot of like harping on the ills of humanity there too. So don't worry. There's plenty of humans really mess things up for everybody, even the demons, and the demons are like, what is wrong? Like, why?
What if humans were the demons?
But we learned that the king has been so generous in selling a supply of water to the people, the increasingly destitute and desperate people.
I do like that when the natural disaster that got rid of all the water came out, he was just like, don't worry, this is a terrible disaster. I am giving everyone a 10% discount off my water. And then he says that a half liter of water only costs 900 yen. And I'm like, ooh, with inflation, that actually... That's about what a bottle of water goes for now.
Beelzebub is grumbling on a pillar about the state of the world. A truck drives up, and a grizzled old human steps out, claiming to be a sheriff by the name of Rao. He's from a neighboring town, and he needs the help of a demon because he is seeking the legendary Phantom Lake. Why do you think there's a hidden lake out there, old man? Well, you see, I saw some birds. Okay, that's good enough for me. Let me go ask my dad for permission.
I mean, this is Bird Studio.
Yes. I just love the cutaway, though, of, we've Beelzebub going to Satan to ask permission. He's just like, I already know. Go ahead for it, kid. Go. Good deal.
Meanwhile, is very chill.
Look, he's been through a lot. He got turned into a cookie. He became good for a while in hell, I think. I'm not quite sure how the hell that happened, but it did. I don't think that was filler. I'm pretty sure that was in the manga.
Well, did we disclose the fact that that Raoul also like tries to can make the deal even sweeter that they come out and join him because he offers them a PlayStation 6.
With Dragon Quest.
The PlayStation
So-
6 running Dragon Quest 4.
So yeah.
No,
and-
Dragon Quest 13. It's the
Alright.
newest one. I don't know how many Dragon Quests there have been.
I don't know. So this only makes it better because Daddy is just like, just make sure when you get back, only like limited game time.
You only get an hour with the PlayStation a day. Thanks, Dad.
And don't sit too close to the screen. Deborah is a good dad.
Yes.
There had to be one of them in the Dragon Ball universe.
You heard a lot of those.
I mean, good ones. We'll go into that later, but yes, there are some really good father figures in the Dragon Ball universe.
That being said, I am going to say right here, there is nothing we read that convinces me this takes place in the Dragon Ball universe. So,
Yeah.
True.
It could is the thing, but yeah, no, it doesn't do anything to tie itself to Dragon Ball. There is one minor bit later that I'm going to bring up, but it's the best kind of like little cameo stroke nod because it's super easy to ignore if you're not inclined for such things.
Mhm.
But anyway, we get a road trip.
Yeah. So Beelzebub convinces Thief, the exposition old man, to come along on the road trip as well.
he also has to fight to bring Thief along and not the other two competent lackeys. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want Thief to come along. I'm very old and frail. Yeah, but you're funny. What?
Every crew needs a comic relief squad.
You're a funny old man and you know stuff. Come along. We need an exposition monkey.
Later, we'll find out that if Thief had not come along, literally the plot wouldn't happen.
Exactly. That's why we need exposition, old man. I do really like the dynamic that quickly builds up between the three of them because Rao offers to let Beelzebub drive and he's having a great time, because he's a excitable kid. And then Thief drives, and we learn that he's also an excitable kid because he's having so much fun driving the truck.
These two are just having a good time. They're just on a road trip.
This also has like the one joke I thought was really funny in here where Rao's just looking at Beelzebub, who looks effectively like a little kid, and he's just like, wait, hold on a second. The world's been like this the entire time, and you just mentioned something about it like getting worse. Like, how old are you? And Beelzebub goes like, well, I'm 2,500 years old. And then Thief chimes in with, yeah, I'm just a little bit older than that too. And I'm like, okay, old man.
I guess I'm the kid here.
Unfortunately, they get while they're having this chit chat, they get attacked by a sand centipede dragon thing.
A dragon centipede that is so cool. I want one.
I love this monster design so much. I'm so sad it shows up for a fifth of a chapter.
I want to boop its snoot.
Me too. But because everything seemed to be going a bit too smoothly, they needed to release their supplies, both to trip the thing up and lower their weight so they could keep going. And now they're barely a few hours out from the demon town and they have lost all their fuel, food, and water.
So things are going great.
Yeah.
Conveniently, they happen to be an hour's drive from a town where they can refuel.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite part about this desert wasteland. Everything is so close to each other.
There's always a town at least one plot distance away.
Yeah.
Just like a strategically placed installation of random baddies.
Such as the the bondage leather gang.
I was very confused because I'm just like, is this aimed at children? It was not just guys in leather. It was specifically leather bondage. And I'm like, oh.
Frankly, I never know if Toriyama's stuff is aimed at kids or not.
It was
No,
your
no, no.
audience.
No, this band is definitely aimed at kids. There are children in bondage leather gear as well.
Oh, God, you're right. I forgot about that.
And then the pedantic over here mentions it's aimed at teenagers like most of the stuff Toriyama does, but yeah, it's weird. It's still weird.
It's very Mad Max is what it is.
Yeah.
Is Mad Max into bondage stuff? I've seen some of Mad Max. Some of the characters are, but like
Clearly,
this entire-
you've not seen enough because Because holy crap, the bondage leather wasteland biker aesthetic was started by Mad Max.
Neat.
I'll take your word for it. I'll do research at a later date.
Rao pulls out Tomfa.
Yep, Rao engages them in a fight. He has a pretty decent showing, kicks a few of them around, but he is surrounded and beaten down. And that's when Beelzebub steps forward, like,
It's specifically he's handling the bandits just fine, but one of them pulls a gun.
Yeah.
And that's when he hesitates long enough for him to get jumped. But we've already established that regular bullets they'll hurt demons, but they won't do damage.
Yeah. And he just runs around open palm slapping them all in the face.
It's pretty great. He's just a wacky little guy.
Yeah. Just a funny little guy.
After the fight, Beals is also just like, hey, Rao, how come you didn't use your sheriff gun and shoot them? He's just like, oh, this thing, it's just for show. Bullets are super rare in this, like, post-war economy. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. That's why no one else uses bullets except the army.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, those bondage leather freaks used a spike strip, and so our cars got 4 flats right now. Thankfully, we're in walking distance of the town, so...
Of course.
So we're going to go get a new car. How are we going to get a new car? With the power of Christmas.
I love these highwaymen that are within spitting distance of a town. Like, what the hell? I know the king is like negligent and greedy and self-serving, but come on, man.
I think that is the point, is they set up shop just outside of town to ambush people going into town.
Going to town, and then they can fence their ill-gotten gains there.
And
There's
Sam, I understand where you're coming from. Like, it would be a good criticism, except for what happens immediately after is also pretty funny. Rao is just like, I'm a sheriff. I thought we had no money. I'm a sheriff. I can't just steal things. And then Beals goes, no, Thief is really good at stealing things. In fact, he can go do it by himself. We can just wait out here. And then Rao's just like, oh, cool. That sounds great then.
That's why we call him Thief.
Rao just has no morals about things being stolen. He just didn't want to be the one stealing it.
Yeah, because that would look bad. I freaking love it. Thief has a little Santa getup, and he's like,
no one suspects Santa.
If I get caught, I'll just say I'm Father Christmas coming to deliver gifts. It's
flawless.
Makes sense to me.
What month even is it? And he's already gone. And he's already back. Hey guys, I found a tank. What?
Yes.
Well, that won't get a flat tire. Let's steal that.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty good choice. Good thing this was completely legally obtained.
Unfortunately, what our heroes did not know is that many tanks would get flat tires over the course of this reading.
You know, that's a good point now that you point that out. Because of them, as it turns out.
Literally every other tank in the world.
I hope they inserted like tire commercials throughout this series. Hint, hint, buy tires.
It's also insane how Rao steals the tank because he basically like, hey, you've got some hairspray, right? I just saw you use it when you're doing your costume change. Oh, that's diegetic? Cool, that's fine. And then he grabs the hairspray, punctures it, then throws it into the open like tank hatch and goes, poison gas attack! And then everyone just goes like, oh, poison gas, better run like 40 feet away from the tank.
I mean, that makes sense. Like if you're in a confined space and a mysterious gas appeared, you'd want to bail too.
It's how far they run is the problem, because they need to run that far for the rest of the shenanigans to ensue.
They completely abandoned the tank, and these are soldiers. Like,
yeah, this is the soldiers are incompetent sort of bit we're going with.
And like, it doesn't even matter, because Beals could have just pulled them out of the tank and karate chopped them into like unconsciousness. That's clearly something he can do. So it's like, it's a gag. It's
a gag.
Yeah, it's a good gag.
I can totally see Beals being suggested that, and he's like, I don't know, the old man's idea is funnier. But yeah, they now have acquired tank, and thankfully, Rao seems to have a shocking amount of knowledge on how to operate these things.
Yeah, this is where we get the chapter of the tank driving, and they just exposition at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we effectively get Rao's entire backstory as he just tells everyone, yes, I didn't tell you, I used to be in the army, and when I was in the army I was actually in the tank division, so the fact we stole a tank is actually very crucial.
Literally be like if you were in a getaway and the person announced, oh yeah, I used to race like cars, I used to be in NASCAR.
And then we find out when he said I used to race cars, he meant I am actually the champion of the Indy 500.
Well, that sure is convenient for the turn of events that just happened.
Sure is.
There's also a funny bit where at one point he's like, operating a tank is very complex, and then like 3 pages later, the driving is easy. I thought you just said it was complex.
Shut up.
The driving is fairly easy. It's the rest of it that requires a crew.
That
Look
makes
out,
sense.
firing the gun.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
As someone who had a lot of fun with this, there are a lot of cases where if you sit down and litigate it for long enough, it kind of falls apart, but it's not really trying to be an airtight story. So
Look,
it's just fun.
after what we've done the last 2 weeks, I will take it. This was such a breath of fresh air compared to Remonster, guys. I was so happy.
Okay, I was going to say they hit a snag almost immediately, but I actually really like the fact that they sort of nearly dodged the problem.
Yeah, this was a fun little bit. Because they're driving along the tank. It's like, haha, we've successfully escaped. Isn't this great? Now we can continue along our way in style and comfort and protection. And oh my God, is that a helicopter?
It's a something. It's a
UFO.
It basically is.
It's a plane, but the king banned planes, so that must be the army's plane. Proceeds to look nothing like a plane.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
Giant king's army branded on the bottom of it.
Yeah, Rao is able to convince them that there's radio trouble in their tank, so they just note that we'll send someone to fix it later and continue on our way. We're on an important mission.
Mission.
Yes, I, the commander of this plane airship thingy, with my cowlick and massive chin.
My enormous jaw!
You could land an actual plane on that thing.
General R's jaw is just the best character in this entire thing.
It takes up half the screen real estate of every page of every panel it's in.
It's almost immediately after they drive away from the plane, they get a call that the tank has been stolen, and they're like, "Dang it!"
What do you mean that
They were
tank was?
expecting, honestly. I mean, like these are usually keyed into a pretty like iron tight network. Immediately, if it goes offline, like yes.
Well, that's the thing. They actually even mentioned that where Rao is like, those guys couldn't have gotten to a radio yet. So we're going to bluff the airship away. And then immediately afterward, they're like, okay, we need to change direction and we need to find a place to hide until dark, which would have worked had it not been for there was a transmitter in the tank, which we're going to chalk up to Rao not having been in a tank for a long time, because that feels like a really obvious...
He did say that it was like a new model.
Yeah.
He was impressed with the backup camera, so I guess
that's true.
I
guess
too am mesmerized by backup cameras.
Standard dad behavior, really.
We're living in a world where tank technology has advanced despite the fact the rest of the world has declined.
The tanks have anti-grav.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do say that.
I'm guessing the tanks always had anti-grav, but because Rao knows how to operate those.
Yeah. Anyway, crap, they figured out what we are. Hold on. We can go ahead and shoot them. And they go ahead and they shoot it. And like the main body of this bulbous UFO thing starts leaking water. And they're like, wait, that was a water tank on the underside of that thing?
And then like 75 to 80% of the thing gets jettisoned. And it turns out it was a giant water tank. And it's even more UFO now.
Like a claw game machine.
Basically. They then have a really cool tank battle where it's essentially like UFO Commander, like that arcade game where you have to drive a tank underneath shields. And then they're like, haha, tanks can't shoot straight up. And Rao's just like, hold on, tanks can't shoot straight up. And it's the UFO is much more maneuverable than we are. And then Beals is just like, so we just need to point the gun straight up? I mean, yeah. How much does this thing weigh? Like 11 tons. And then Beals is just like, I can handle that. Jumps out, lifts the front of the tank up so it's now pointing straight up. And Rao's just like, got the shot.
Boom!
Yeah, this is a fun sequence because this is where the anti-grav comes up, where Rao has the idea of if we up the anti-grav on the front end, we might be able to wheelie the tank. But when that doesn't work, that's when we get absurdly strong protagonist. Though to be fair,
Thief also
Thief helps.
has to help.
Yeah.
They shoot a hole in the airplane UFO thingy, manage to not kill anyone or hit anything that would explode, but they do ground it.
As every combat in this ends, yeah.
Yes.
Man, that's amazing. You guys were just shooting at each other with high ordnance and no one died? Yep.
How about that?
No one ever dies.
It's
Other than the lack of a body count, I'm getting a lot of crazy food struck out of that.
okay. Glad I'm not the only one who
I'm
thought
so glad
that.
you said that. Yes.
I didn't want to say it.
This was the inspiration. You can't convince me otherwise.
It's almost like Crazy Food Truck was good.
Hey, there are worse things to ape. But the other time where, wow, you guys are shooting high ordnance at each other, weird, nobody died. It's actually pretty well justified in that case. It's one of those ones where it's like, this should probably be more deadly than it is, but given the tone of the series, they do enough to hand wave that. But yeah, the fact that plane doesn't explode is honestly the thing that surprises me.
Yeah.
So
If General R was a different type of character, then that plane would have blown up and we would have just forgotten about all those people we killed.
So yeah,
Yes.
after this fight, we get a character moment where the crew is just driving off into the night and they've got like there's enough exposition from Rao that you would expect him to be the protagonist of the series for a bit. Because he just goes like, yes, I told you a little bit of what I was before, but now I must tell you, I wasn't just a tank commander. I was the tank commander. I was General Rao of the army. I was so cool and I did amazing things 30 years ago, but it all ended when I was sent on the Peachy mission to fight the Peachy tribe rebelled against the government, so we came to put them down, and I did it. But there was a big explosion that no one could have ever suspected, and in that explosion, I faked my death and then hid because I wanted to live a normal life free of the army. And that would be enough exposition, except then Thief goes, yes, I know everything, and I just wanted you to know. Did you know the Peachy tribe were killed because they created a water-creating machine, and that the government sent them a whole bunch of aqueum to create the water-creating machine, but they didn't know that the water-creating material aqueum was also highly explosive, and then they sent the tank commander to go kill them because General Zhu didn't get along with you. Yep, I know all of this plot critical information, and I'm just telling it to you right now. Okay, Thief, that's wow. Do you have any proof for this? No, just take my word for it. Well, you are from a race of people that, by your own admission, love lying just for the fun of it. No, that sounds right. I'm going to deeply believe this information, and everyone I tell this to will also deeply believe it.
To be a little bit fair, Thief does not bring up the part about how the mission was designed to take out the rebellious tank brigade. He comes to that conclusion himself, where he's like, Commander Zhu never liked us. We were too unruly for him. It makes sense that he would try to kill two birds with one stone.
Well, yeah, Rao actually knew that in advance. Like, before he met with Beals and Thief, he already knew that it was basically designed to get a mission designed to get rid of them. And then that's the reason why he's so inclined to believe that the Peachy people weren't actually evil.
We also get a brief interstitial with Rue, who is an old man in a floating ball.
He is a cyborg, I think. They said that he became a cyborg at some point because
he's basically just hands and a head and then a bulb.
Why is he Dr. Wily inside of Bowser's flying clown car?
Oh my god, he is! That's literally what he is. He's just wearing a beret.
Look, I Big Weld from Robots aside, I do want to say one thing about General Zoo. I get the feeling like every time he shows up is just the same picture of him.
It's the same panel. Yes, it's the same panel every time.
His hands are occasionally slightly different positions.
Like, this is like 70s anime level of like, oh, I see you drew a lip flap in. Did you just copy paste this, or?
Shut up.
Toriyama sensei, I understand that part of the reason you stopped doing this was because the tank was too complicated to draw, but did you actually just copy paste this one image?
Honestly, I respect it.
Respect.
Yeah. It's efficient.
Work smarter, not harder.
Listen, the reason why Super Saiyans are blonde is because Toriyama and his assistants hated inking Goku's hair. That is the reason that Super Saiyans are gold.
I mean, could you blame them? It's just like, dude, you know what I mean.
So big.
You know what I mean. Whatever, I don't need to ink this. It's hair.
I also really like the king chilling in his pool with his biddies.
With the biddies.
Because it's just like, hey, you know how the world's in like a global drought now, right? Why you got a swimming pool?
What is the quickest way to establish this guy as a greedy, selfish, wasteful moron? Right, it's a drought, put him in a pool. Got it, done. We know he's irredeemable. We can move on from this character.
With a very evil rubber ducky.
I love it.
So,
Evil ducky.
What happens is General Zoo decides they're going to use the power of the media to get their way. And then and they definitely talk about how they're going to like use the media to like paint them into a way. And it feels like they're going to make like a really like poignant point about like the 24-hour news cycle. And then they just set a bounty on him.
My immediate reaction to all of this is, wait, everyone hates the king for being an asshole, right? Wouldn't people help fugitives? Which almost kind of happens.
It doesn't even get that far, though, is the thing.
CJ, you don't understand. The propaganda machine is that powerful, except for all the parts where it isn't.
The propaganda machine is omnipotent and nigh invulnerable, except all it does is get one very stupid group of bounty hunters to go find a picture of the dude, sell that picture for 200,000 yen immediately. Like, that's just paid, which is weird because that's not much less than what the bounty for them was. And then like they put it out on the news media goes with story like, wait a second, that's General Rue. Basically, all that exposition that was just told to Beals and Thief is now being told to you, the masses. Like, my God, we all love that general. And then he's just like, well, time to call General Shiba. Time to call the media. And then Rue just gets on the phone with the media because I guess that's a thing he can do now.
This propaganda machine is so ridiculously powerful and omnipotent that it is a viable way of painting these heroic rebels as miscreants and terrorists, except for the part where one of those miscreants and terrorists can just call up headquarters and be like, beep, boop, 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 boop. You are now going to give me an unfiltered line directly to the 24/7 news feed. Hey, everybody, plot.
He doesn't even demand it. It's just like, hey, could you just
do it?
Could you just connect this phone call to all radio stations and TVs?
Yeah, sure.
Everywhere right now.
Yes, of course. Wanted terrorist will definitely let you spout your manifesto.
I'm just saying, First Amendment rights.
Does that work when you have a tyrannical monarch? Like,
I don't know.
What a bunch of scorps. That's right. You know how it is.
Those goddamn scorps. You think you've got them in your pocket, but then turns out they just let anyone on the airways. So basically, Ro turns the entire situation 180 degrees around with literally no effort. And like, he also says something like, also, I've got something to let you know about the disaster that happened 30 years ago. It's different than how you think it would be. I'll explain later. Never call me again. And then hangs up. like what?
It's strategy.
Is it?
Yeah, if you beat him later, it'll demoralize him.
I always do love a strategy that depends on when you win again, it'll be a better win. But yeah, so the whole big like plot reveal that the entire like populace is going to be against them immediately flipped 180, and then they're caught in a roadblock with General RA because the swimmers, as they told, or these people who just go around the desert in speedos, sold them out and are now trying.
They provoke a fight between the two sides, and they're going to clean up whoever's left.
Yeah, and like we then get partially my favorite scene in this entire thing, where Beals gets out of the tank, hops on top of one of those giant stone pillars that just exists in Dragon Ball for some reason.
Where else will you dramatically pose with your fighting stance?
I know.
And from that, he can see the entire enemy's layout. And then
what a twinky dink.
He just speaks directly into Rue's head and says like, wait a second, it sounds like I could hear him now. You are hearing me, old man. Demons can read the minds and speak telepathically to all humans and also other demons. I've been doing this entire time. Wait, so you could read my mind this entire time? Yes, except for all the parts about your secret backstory. I didn't know those parts because they weren't dramatically relevant. That feels like
to be fair, like
Shut
how
up.
I read it is like he can have telepathic conversations. He can't read, like literally read their entire consciousness.
Well, yeah, that's the excuse given.
The way it's spouted out though is literally like you were writing it, realized there was a plot hole mid-sentence. It was like, also I can't read the deeper parts because I'm just a baby demon, but my dad could do that.
I think that's bullshit.
Probably.
I'm going to call you on your bullshit.
I'm just saying that was when I knew Toriyama had wrote this, because this was very much like Goku arriving on Namek. I will now read your mind, Krillin.
So that we don't have to exposit everything you already know. Yeah. Yes. That was done for this set piece, basically.
I'm just saying, work smarter, not harder.
Except in this setting, he could have just taken like a radio with him. Like that's technology that exists.
Nope,
he can telepathically speak and all the problems that opens up.
Yep.
But from his vantage point, he's able to give like perfect troop placement.
Spotting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And General Ro is so good. He's able to use ultimate techniques of tanking, which are driving forwards and then driving backwards quickly.
Oh yeah. He's an expert.
Just when I see, yes, he's maneuvering the tank so well, and I'm just like, you backed up to not get shot by that guy and then moved forward.
He's a genius.
Purely a genius of strategy.
Yes.
There's a level of, I don't know how competent the other side is because they don't keep the sun at their back, which is basic for basically all vehicle combat, and I think all combat in general.
Look, I'm just saying, Jacob, beating a dolphin in chess doesn't make you a grandmaster.
Allow that attitude.
It's a fun little sequence.
Yep. And then basically after General RA sees that his like 3 of his tanks have been disabled while
it's the case of it's there's more of an excuse why nobody gets hurt in this one because they're specifically aiming for mechanical parts where people aren't.
Yeah. And like the whole thing is he's just like, wait, hold on. 3 of my tanks have been disabled and not a single casualty. What is going on here? Because that's not this violent criminal who wants to bring down the government. RA goes like, excuse me, General Shiba, my father served with you. And then because all people know each other in Dragon Ball universe, which this isn't, but is, Ru goes, yes.
All people know each other in Toriyama universe.
Yeah.
Ru just goes, yes. I remember your father showed me a picture of you. You look identical. And I'm like, my God, that baby had the biggest chin ever.
That baby was all chin.
All chin and cowlick.
The idea that you can recognize a person you saw a picture of 30 years ago and they are 30 years older, like...
Yeah.
But anyway, he basically goes, did you know that your father died in a pointless conflict? General Zhu told you that the king ordered that attack, but is that true? I'll tell you more later. You don't have to tell me more later. I believe you intrinsically now, but I can't just believe you intrinsically because I am a government agent. Okay, then.
Anyway, we're going to stand here and continue our parlay, and oh no! The fishes are shooting at us. Thankfully, we have a Goku.
Yeah, they say something about, like, you're working with demons. You must be evil. And then, luckily, Beals gets a chance to save everybody by jumping in front of a blast with a rock.
by jumping in front of a bullet.
Yeah, he yeets a rock into the path of the anti-tank rifle that one of the swimmers has.
Yeah.
The big boy, Guppy. I'm pretty sure his name is Guppy.
Yeah, he's Guppy.
Yeah. So
obviously, the biggest one is Guppy. Like, come on.
It's Toriyama we're talking about.
I missed this. Are the swimmers part of the Peachy tribe? Because they've mentioned...
No, they're like a separate, like, they're not even like a military unit. They're just a clan that is just out in the desert that it's disclosed later that apparently they like grew up along the water, because I found out later, because I'm like literally out loud screaming, why are they wearing speedos?
I understand why you're confused, Matt, and I have a feeling if Sandland... I personally think Sandland is better for being the short 14-chapter one-shot that it is, but I have a feeling, and something that would have been expounded on later had this been a bigger series than it was, the swimmers mention in passing that they were part of a rebellion that got quashed by Shiba.
Oh, yes, I remember that, yeah.
So I have a feeling that that's basically a dropped plot line.
Yeah, but
it's another fight that happened. The Peachy tribe is just also another genocide he did.
Whether or not those were going to be attached, I don't think they were, because we see the Peachy tribe during a flashback earlier on, and they're not human.
Yeah. So what I grasped from this part specifically is that obviously the king wanted to do this, or this was a plot point that they wanted to, you know, have like capitalize on there being no water. They wanted to cut off the water supply. And there were multiple groups that were against the king.
It's not hard to believe that there would be multiple rebellions against the government under these circumstances. So it's one of those ones where, like, I have a feeling there was probably going to be more to it than that, but it really isn't. It's just a weird throwaway line because of the nature of Sandland, which Toriyama.
This guy is a genius.
I love him.
Very much in the same wavelength here. We share the same brains.
I'm saying, if I find out there is a 30-minute YouTube video with some of the DBZ YouTuber telling me why Sandland is actually genius and I'm an idiot for not understanding it,
that YouTuber would be me.
So Jacob's not on the podcast anymore.
Oh my god.
If it doesn't exist, it needs to exist now, Jacob. You have your orders.
I know what I must do.
You resurrect that old YouTube channel you had.
Oh god, no, please no.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So this is where Beals gets lost in the fight they're now having with the swimmers.
He runs off to
having with the swimmers.
Yeah, he runs off to deal with the swimmers trying to snipe them.
And then he gets lost in a sandstorm, and we get the... I assume it's a gag, is that he wraps his face up in his scarf because there's a sandstorm, but is also just completely shirtless, like, okay, you're trying not to breathe in the sand, I guess, but... And then he gets lost in the sandstorm, finds a rock, and then in that rock, he finds a cave. And in that cave, he finds literally the thing they've been looking for, a lush, verdant lake surrounded by every animal known to man.
They've even got happy cappies.
Completely isolated within this rock.
This is also when Ru's having his conversation with RA. That's kind of happening weirdly simultaneously. we get RA kind of going like, I'm a government man. I can't just allow you to do whatever you want. But I mean, I will tell you, there are a bunch of men under my command who just took mandatory vacation under my orders. It's a shame that no one's guarding this area.
Oh, that happens a little bit later. That's a bit more egregious because at this point, he's like, I'm not going to believe this without checking into it, even though it does actually track with what I know.
Oh, right.
And what he says here is, boy, it sure is bad that 3 of our tanks got disabled before we even encountered General Shiba and didn't have the chance to run him down. At which point he salutes him, bye, sir.
Yeah.
And like,
I liked that.
Oh, yeah, no, I freaking love General R.A.
Yeah, he's great.
And like the whole thing of like, oh no, Beals has been separated from the group and they have no idea where he is. Is this going to be a problem? No, he just jumps on top of the rock formation and can see the tank across the sandstorm. It's just like,
hey, old man, I'm speaking with you in my mind again. I found the Phantom Light. Get your ass over here.
Well, I mean, technically, he doesn't have to worry about the sandstorm, but it's no less convenient. The sandstorm happened to end as soon as he jumped up on top of the rocks. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
It's still dumb.
Anyway, it's still dumb.
They drive directly to the Phantom Lake. They enter the Phantom Lake and they're like, my God, we could move the entire demon kingdom here. The Kappas will finally be happy that they're not dying of not having water. Perfect.
We won't lose any more slimes from them sitting in the sunlight.
Have a little fun light.
Loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time, except for the part where they dry up and die.
And then Beals is like, oh, wait, no, hold on. Looks like the Peachy tribe is still here.
I sense people. Yeah, he goes off. It's easy enough to miss in the flashback when they're talking about the Peachy tribe's machine, but there is a panel that is identical to a shot from Dragon Ball Super referencing Jiren's backstory.
Yeah, they're just little Jirens.
Literally the exact same shot of Jiren's backstory, which to me is like, oh, I get it. This is one of the other universes in the Dragon Ball Super multiverse. Okay, that's as close as a connection it gets to Dragon Ball. I'm cool with that.
Does that mean... But there's a limited number of universes in the multiverse.
I think there's like 14, but a bunch of them didn't even show up in the Tournament of Power. Besides, this could also be Jiren's universe easily enough.
No, see, this is actually why Sandland got canceled. It's because Zeno deleted it.
I don't like this one. It doesn't make any sense.
And with that, I think it's a good opportunity for a mid-roll break.
Yeah, because basically they find the Peachy tribe and they're like, well, we can't take this from them. Better go commit regicide. Yeah!
Good idea.
We can't commit more genocide, so we'll just go do regicide. Perfect plan, gang.
Nothing wrong with regicide.
You know, I'm speaking sarcastically, but that is a better plan. I'm not gonna lie.
With everything else that's going on, yes.
I would say that regicide over genocide is generally a better option.
Unless it's ants, then you have to do both.
I agree.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, folks. Where last we left our intrepid tank squad, they had just pulled really.
They found the plot.
They found the plot.
They found the One Piece and then decided they no longer wanted the One Piece.
So they're going to go get the 2-piece instead.
Yep.
Taking the One Piece would mean genocide, so we're going to go take the 2-piece.
Would Luffy take the One Piece if it meant genocide?
I don't know. I don't know what Luffy's alignment is. I really don't.
So anyway, they learned that if they follow the riverbed further south, they will find the secret water source.
Yeah, this is the part where we get the I can't help you, but I just so happened to order all of the guards to go on vacation. We
also have the copy paste of General Zoo.
Yeah, this is the one that is literally just the exact same panel.
Corporate wants you to find the difference between these two pictures.
This is also when General RA goes like, yes, here's where the Army's secret water source is, and then reveals that he's got a lot of pull over there, which really sets him up to be a much worse guy than he is when we find out what the Army's secret water source is.
I don't know. I did really like General RA's thing where he's like, hey, I guess I just turned on this headset and I'm broadcasting on all channels. I'm going to talk to myself right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And there's actually another bit earlier on that was honestly the moment where RA, like, just elevated for me, and just I fell in love with this character and his enormous jaw, where
it's the thing with the king, right?
Yeah, he contacts the king and he's like, hey, I just got off the line with Supreme Commander Zhu. Why did you order that genocide against the peaceful people and claim that it was a super weapon when it was really a water producing weapon? I didn't order that. That was all Zhu's idea. I see. Well, I guess I'll just have to talk to the commander about that. Anyway, back to my job. God damn it, it was true!
I love that so much, because General Ari is like, okay, trust but verify. But how do I verify? Zhu will never admit to it. The king is an idiot.
So, anyway, we get to find out what the whole secret of the water supply is, because they just drive down the dry riverbed that's been dry for 30 years. They drive down this riverbed to its source, which is a giant dam with the king's logo emblazoned on it. And they're all like, my God, it's a giant dam. And behind that giant dam is all the river tributaries that come from the rain-producing country north of us. And all the water that doesn't go to the rain-producing country goes to the sea. And I'm like, hold on, Sandland. You just introduced a bunch of things to your lore that you said weren't true earlier.
Look, I can accept mountain ranges being blockades that prevent rain, causing deserts. But
I can too. But this goes from the entire world is now a desert to they're in Egypt and someone has blocked the Nile. Like, those are two very different stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing for me is I immediately had a thought like that, but then I realized, people aren't going to be very mobile. They're stuck in the desert, and this has only lasted about 50 years. This is about the time when somebody would be like, hey, wait a minute, and figure this out. Because, authoritarian regime keeping a lid on it,
Yeah, with their ironclad control of the media.
Except for all the parts where it isn't.
The problem when you make your tyrannical force incredibly incompetent for comedy is that you can't go, everyone forgot rain existed. Especially the demons. Is the other thing.
Yeah, I suppose the demons really should have known about all that, because the implication that of why they knew about the Pachi tribe is because they're more clued into like they have a grapevine, as it were, like they're feelers about. So they really should have known about this. I don't know, maybe the Demon King did, and that's why he was okay with Beelzebub doing this, but that's just me yeeting a dart at the board, so...
yes, Dabur is just like, yes, I live in Egypt. Oh, someone shut off the Nile. Should I move? Nah,
that's too much work.
I can believe a Demon King being too negligent to do that, but again, we are attributing way more.
We're putting way more brain cells into this explanation than the manga bothers with, because it doesn't really care about such things.
I also realized it needs an epilogue, because
it needs an ending of some kind. Yeah, we need to wrap this up quickly.
So General Zoe just flies there because he gets a call from the king going like, hey, General Ra has just told me that the entire bombing thing was actually us. What's up with that? And he's just like, shut up, king. I'm evil and secretly in control of everything. I'll solve it. And then he flies over to the place where he knows the people are going to be, I guess, and then meets them on the battlefield and goes, I'm here to stop you. Also, I brought a cage. And in this cage is
an Arlean.
It does look an awful lot like an Arlean.
Okay, not the head, but the entire rest of it. I was so expecting it to just straight up be an Arlean, and I'm not gonna lie, a little disappointed that it wasn't.
But no, it is the bioweapon, Insect Man.
When did we end up in the Cell Saga?
Yeah. We also get a whole bunch of lip service to pretend like up till this point Beelze has been Goku. And he really hasn't. He's just kind of Beelze has been original first arc of Dragon Ball Goku. And right here is them pretending he's like Saiyan Saga Naruto. He's Saiyan Saga Naruto.
He's saying no, I think that's right. I think that's right.
Man, I loved
when he digivolves into Charizard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When Ichigo ate the gum fruit.
Look, all of that was fine, but God forbid we call this a Senin.
Where were we?
It's General Zoo sees that Beelze is here and goes like, yes, he is the prince of all demons. He is the strongest. Some could say he can even turn into a super demon. And then Thief has to tell Ro, it's like, yes, Beelze is actually super strong. Well, I already knew that. No. That's actually not even him being strong. That's just how he normally is. He absorbs the power of night. Oh yeah, I saw him doing that earlier. Yeah. Well, you know how Gohan constantly was told he had infinite potential and they kept changing what that actually meant? Yeah. Absorbing the power of night is kind of in this manga, except this manga is only 14 chapters long. So the fact that they change what it means twice is a little weird. Okay. I'm kind of lost. Thanks. You're on the same page then. So he fights Perfect Cell. Or not Imperfect Cell, really. Beelze fights this big insect guy, then unleashes his power of night when he tells everyone to back off. And that's just he explodes the ground around him with energy.
Yeah, and I was super disappointed by this. I expected a big off demon transformation. Come on, Toriyama.
Yeah, the fight was good until he just kind of explodes, and that's the end of the fight.
Well, no, the end of the fight is then, no, you fool, Insect Man, use your self-destruct.
That was so dumb.
And then he exploded. And then Beelze was just like, by the way, I'm a demon, so I'm completely fine. But I am tired while I'm healing, so I won't be able to help. And I'm like, what was the point of this?
That is the most we're wrapping up in 2 chapters shit I've ever seen in my life. Because the entire reason that the Insect Man had self-destruct was because Zoo was like, Insect Man is the only one that can defeat Beelzebub. Science team, get me Insect Man.
But we can't control him as if that's going to mean anything.
But sir, he's not ready yet. We can't control him. Then put a bomb in his chest. I don't give a shit.
Well, hold on. If you could make a bomb that does more damage to Beelze than Insect Man, isn't the bomb the weapon? Shut up. This is also where we get like a really weird choice that I don't understand. When General Zoo shows up, and the fight starts, Ro takes out his gun, fires 2 shots at him, and the bullets just bounce off. And then you have Beelze go, hey, wait a second. I thought you said you didn't have any bullets for that gun. He's just like, I didn't trust you yet, so I was lying. I've always had bullets for the gun. And I'm like, it didn't do anything, so there was no narrative reason to do this. It was he lied then for some reason.
Yes.
That makes character sense, but it
doesn't make narrative sense. It's useless.
It's completely ineffective narratively, so it doesn't matter.
Also, Sam, Beelze can read people's minds. That was confirmed earlier.
But no, you don't understand, Matt. It's because as only a 2,000-year-old demon, he is young and inexperienced, so he doesn't know how to read into the real deep thoughts yet.
But this is a surface level lie.
That's a surface thought because obviously he would know if he's armed. Like,
so the thing that I'm thinking of is that I feel like that might have been setting up that Beelze knew that Ro had bullets in the gun all along and just didn't do anything about it because he understood that, Rao was putting himself out on a limb, and that would have gone to a character scene. But this is also Akira Toriyama, who only ever writes plot points, so I don't know that would have happened even if this was longer. It's one of those ones where it's like, I can see where you're going with this, but it's not in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, like, I get what you set up with this is the inter-character drama, or like the show that trust has been earned. But that's not what happens here. And you could have just not done this and nothing would have changed and it wouldn't have had the weirdness. Like, so
Agree.
So anyway, because Beals is out, they're gonna have to use the tank to fight General Zoe. And then they don't, because General Ra shows up and one-shots the dude and it's just like, by the way, this is my resignation, boss. No!
Okay, I like that a lot. It was very stupid, I admit.
Yeah,
I liked that a lot.
So basically, there's a lot of when it comes to this final battle, and it's actually almost for like the two parts of the battle between Insect Man, or the battle against Insect Man, and the battle against Commander Zhao, or Joe, or however the hell you pronounce his name.
Okay, I thought that the kerning was bad, and his name was Zelly.
I feel like in both cases, there was more that could have been done here that wasn't, because, we got to end it next chapter. The opening bit with the gun feels undercooked, as it were, but the ending where, oh no, he's gonna bomb the tank, and then General Ra comes in and saves the day. That's a really cool moment, and I like that a lot. Whereas the reverse problem with Beals' fight against Insect Man, where the beginning of the fight is great, but it kind of peters out when you run out of pages.
And then they both exploded.
And everybody clapped.
Jacob, you say ran out of pages. They certainly spend a few pages blowing up the dam. Oh man, that dam's got rebar inside of it. Better fire at it with more tanks.
But we gotta have the bit at the end where the only other characters in this manga show up to help.
No, we don't have to have that, actually. So they break the dam. All the water comes flooding in, and then almost as an afterthought, they go like, oh man, we should really warn people that a huge flood of water is going to like a place that's been dry for 30 years. God forbid anyone use the flat ground to build a new town or anything.
Hey, everybody downstream, run.
That's such a Toriyama moment of, oh yeah, I forgot that, didn't I? Anyway.
I've already inked the first 14 pages. I can't change it now. Oh, yeah. And like, as the water is flooding back, General Ra makes a call to the media, who immediately puts him out to everybody, because that's how this works. And basically goes, yes, I have solved the problem. And also General Shiba solved the problem too, because he's super cool. We have given the water back to the people of Sandland. Also, the king is a cool guy and has agreed to spend half his money to give everyone food.
They bully the king into that, to be fair, but...
Yeah, well, they bully him by going like, by the way, I also know about the secret mission and what really happened then, but I'll tell you that at a later time.
Oh, and then everybody tries to resign from the military.
All at once.
It got to the point I thought they were legitimately going to make Beals.
I thought that too! I thought that's where that was going.
We're making Prince Satan the king of the military. And I'm like, actually, Mr. Satan is the hero of Earth for that.
That's in another universe. That's in Universe 7.
Yeah, and with that, the crew goes home and everyone has water again, except they still live in a desert hellscape because the sheriff gets his vehicle back and they just make a trio of like sheriff people who go around in the Jeep.
Because they don't dissolve the monarchy, they just make him like give away some of his stuff.
Yeah, the fact that all of his money was ill-gotten gains off the sweat and labor of people for 30 years, the fact he only has to give half back is really...
It's pretty light on him, yeah.
It's most neoliberal I've ever seen.
to be fair, I think the implication was General Zoe was manipulating him, and he didn't care, was the thing. He wasn't saying, go kill these people. He was just like, I'm just fine getting a whole bunch of cool shit.
Yeah, he was being placated by a manipulator, which is its own flaw. But then
money sure is great.
Rao specifically says eventually to RA, no, you are the one who has to do this, even if you've done things, if you've also done things regrettable, you're in the best position to make things better, go do that. And
yeah, because RA does say, I'm not clean of sin as well. I'm like, yes, because it seems to me that you knew the entirety of all the water was being held behind a dam for profit. We're not going to go into that really, but
the way I read it is that he just pulled rank on the people there, not that he knew what was going on, but that doesn't get really delved into directly. So.
If he can pull rank, that kind of implies, I guess General Zoe could just be like, I don't let people know this, but then they're incompetent, so how is their secrecy net so good? It doesn't matter. Anyway, we established that earlier on when Beals told the other two that he could summon them with magic if they get into a big fight that needs them. They go, haha, you could just summon us with magic. And he's like, guys, you know I don't actually have summoning magic, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you totally forgot.
Toriyama, you forgot that you had that line, didn't you?
Araki, wait a minute.
No, Jacob, you idiot. If you would just read the manga, you'd know that all demons are loving of lies and telling quick jokes. So clearly, that was a joke at the audience expense. I'm now going to write a 30-minute video about why this was good and why Sam has bad opinions about JoJo's.
I'm sorry, I was just scripting my next YouTube video.
Yeah.
And that's Sandland. Thus brings us to the end of our reading. So, favorite character and favorite fight. Fights, not a lot of them, but plenty of characters. And I think this is one's going to be a popular decision. General RA, he's great. He's got the chin, he's got the cowlick, and he's got the, I'm part of the system, but I can totally just say things into this open mic and help the rebellion. And now he's a lot of fun. He's a entertaining pseudo antagonist. Not really an anti-hero.
Anti-villain, kind of?
Anti-villain, I think, is the fairest.
Anti-villain, there you go. Yeah, he's a fun anti-villain. And as for favorite fight, I don't know, Beals running down the swimmers and finding Phantom Lake was pretty funny.
Oh, the fact that the swimmers tried to swim in the river and drowned is funny.
Yeah, a bunch of them are in the process of drowning.
I told you not to breathe the water, idiot! Anyway, Jake, how about you? Favorite character, favorite fight?
Well, there was a dog in the village of the Pico tribe or whatever.
Yes, I remember that dog. He was snarling.
So 100% the dog. My actual favorite is, as Sam alluded, and I don't know if it's going to be universal, but certainly Sam and I sharing the brain cell here. General Ra's enormous jawline. I loved him. He was the best character in this. Yeah, this had a lot of good characters. RA was just it was fun seeing him have the one brain cell owned by the King's Army and actually doing things. As for favorite fight, the two that stand out in my mind in particular are in the very beginning, Rao with the Tonfa against the Mad Max bondage bandits. That was a really good fight. And then the first part of Beals versus Insect Man. I think the latter was a little bit longer and had a little bit more complex choreography, so I'd go with that. But there weren't a lot of fights, and they tended to be on the short side, but they were good. I mean, like there's a pretty big gulf in Toriyama's fight choreography in early Dragon Ball, which was good, but not totally there yet. And then here's the little fights in the mostly gag series Sandland that's in sort of the same headspace as early Dragon Ball, and the significantly better paneling and choreography on display here. It's cool to see that kind of growth in an artist, even if a lot of his narrative and character weaknesses still very much shine through. Part of the charm, I guess.
Indeed. Matt, how about you? Favorite character or favorite fight?
Yeah, favorite character is hard. I guess Thief. Thief has some funny bits. I'm not thrilled that the entire thing with the Peachy tribe that is crucial to the main plot is kind of just told by him as a thing he knew.
Fair.
It kind of makes the entire plot of this just conveniently people knew things and then talked about knowing things to other people. Fight-wise, I I'm gonna go with the first tank fight only because I wanted there to be more cool tank fights, and then they don't really do that. Even the like fight against General Ra, where it's him fighting the overwhelming other tanks. I mentioned in the plot thing, like the tactics he actually uses are kind of boring to watch. So
yeah, it's brutally effective, and that makes it
It's
kind of dull.
It's almost like it's too realistic. Like this is what a gunfight really is, not what you see in movies.
So yeah, that's mine.
All right, and Jay, favorite character, favorite fight.
This is actually hard. I guess I would have to say Beelzebub is my favorite character because he was the one character who seemed to do the most, say the most, and participate in most of the fights. That being said, my favorite fight had to be the one with the Insect Man, just because immediately it made me physically just keel over laughing because it just reminded me of like the Cell battle. And I'm just like, okay, we're doing this. I hear this. I hear this call out.
It's one of those YouTube hypotheticals. What if Frieza captured Cell?
Yes. That literally went through my head. And I'm just like, okay. Okay.
What if Frieza captured Cell and used him to fight Child Goku?
Indeed.
I'm sorry, what I was writing the script for my next YouTube video. Excuse me.
Yes, at this segment.
Did you get that collab with Masako yet, Jake?
I hit the 27-minute mark. Crap, better have them both just explode each other.
We're gonna wrap this shit up.
Speaking of, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think I'll go. I kind of, the plot for this for me really kind of just took me out of it, and like the parts of it that were so clearly Dragon Ball didn't make up for the other parts that were just like glaring plot holes and seemingly not knowing what it wanted to do. And also the main character is Beelzebub, but it's actually Ro, because he's the one who drives the plot, has all of the revelations, and Beels is kind of just a side piece to that and doesn't do much until the final fight with the Insect Man, which feels like it was just kind of thrown in there. And like, if I wanted a cool desert survival thing where mechanical contraptions are used to fight the government that's hoarding water, Crazy Food Truck exists and is so much better in every single way, on top of being a cooking manga. Like, and the thing about Crazy Food Truck, it's also got more crazy creatures, which I thought is kind of the point, but we only get that dragon centipede at the beginning and then nothing. Like, we don't even have the whimsy you would expect from Toriyama.
It is, in fact, a shame in that regard.
So at the end, I'm kind of just left wanting.
And is natural with all things in the universe. I disagree.
No, please tell me how deep of a character Beelzebub is.
So deep.
Not to say that this is a masterpiece or anything, but I really enjoyed this. It was a fun little jaunt. It's not something that you're meant to examine super deeply. It's one of those ones where I'd love to spend more time in this world. I'd love to spend more time with these characters, but I also feel that to a large extent, this is the length it should be. Like trying to extend it any further, like the final battle being a little bit on the truncated side and trying to slide in things that didn't really have the time to get like completely addressed and gone into. Notwithstanding, this feels like the right length for this kind of story. It's just a fun little road trip with some quirky characters. Honestly, personally, I don't think that there's anything wrong with Rao being the main character and Beelzebub being sort of a almost a sidekick to him. I mean, there's the aspect of Journey to the West of like who's really the main character, Tripitaka or Monkey. And I mean, we know Toriyama is familiar with Journey to the West. So him being the main character, I think works well for the story. And Beels is just kind of out there for a lark. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that it's fun to spend the short amount of time that it has. Because the other thing that's worth noting is that the chapters themselves are actually really short. So it's not really much of a time investment to go through it.
Yeah. I don't know how much of it is God, the last 2 episodes we did were so painful. And how much it is, I genuinely enjoyed this, but wow, this felt like such a breath of fresh air.
Well, Sam, it's because you had someone else tell you a story rather than reading a story.
That's a way to put it.
I don't like the implication of that, Matt.
I meant the exposition dump from Ro being like a third of the plot.
We were not insulting your intelligence in this juncture, Sam.
Not this time. Matt will do it plenty, but not this time.
We'll be better, and then I'll do it less. Like, stop deserving it, Sam, is really the...
Oh, and there it is.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I think for me at least, it was... I could definitely tell without it being so glaringly obvious that this is a Toriyama piece, just because, like I said, there's just so many elements scattered throughout that just scream to me Dragon Ball. But go listen to our Dragon Ball episode and you'll understand why I kind of I like bits and pieces of it. But even though this was a one shot, it's nice and short, it's only a few chapters, I got bored very easily because of that lore dump in the beginning. Nothing deviated or changed significantly from that, so I already knew what was going to happen. I was just watching it happen. And I didn't really, it was not intellectually stimulating. And I know some people like that. I mean, that's why we read comics, that's why we watch anime, whatever. But I didn't feel engaged in the plot or the storyline in any way because I already knew what was happening.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Like, Ro's backstory exposition really sets the plot in motion, and then it doesn't deviate from that, except maybe the fact that the army's secret reserve is actually a blockaded river and the entire ocean. But whether or not that's a cool twist or not is also up in the air. Like,
yeah, it's dependent on how many brain cells you've dedicated to it, really. That does actually remind me of one other thing I kept meaning to bring up about General R.A. One thing that I did kind of like about this was if he played to type, given his character design, the fact that he was actually like one of the nicest and most intelligent characters in the story was sort of a fun deviation from what you would expect from particularly an author and artist like Toriyama. I thought that was fun. But yeah, it's not an intellectually stimulating story. It's just a fun, dumb, brain dead little road trip, basically.
Thank you, everybody, for once again tuning into the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can find us on all of your social medias where we are at Over Manga Cast.
You can also find us on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. The episodes there go up on a 2-week delay, so if you want to catch up on our up-to-date stuff, we have overmangacast.com where you can where we even have a thing where you can leave individual comments on individual episodes. Go ahead and send us recommendations. Tell us why Sandland is actually the deepest story of all time, and we have too small a brain to understand.
Jacob, you really got to stop making accounts to just make it sound like I'm wrong. It
Listen,
really doesn't work out.
I swear, just because it's only one letter different from my name doesn't mean it's me.
Yes, Jacob spelled the other way. I see.
Yes, Monlagged J.
And then, as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all forms. Recommendations are great. We will read most anything. Tell us to read Dragon Ball Super, I guess. I don't know. Something.
Please, no.
But yeah, with that, Sam, what are we reading next week?
Well, speaking of brain dead shonen nonsense, we're going to be returning to Kaiju number 8, chapters 76 through 95. So if you're keeping up with the show, be sure to read that. And we will see you all next Thursday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.